Hello, I am Lady Okaira, Duchess of Silver Dragons and your local villainess, and the drama over in the Love and Deep Space world is far from over. And honestly, I don't even know where to begin. I feel like every time I try to sit my tail down to talk about this, something else happens. But I'm going to try my best to cover the significant events up until now. I probably won't go into as much detail as I did last time because I know that by the time I post this, something else will happen. So Anime Expo happened and there was a lot of support for Valko there. There were cosplayers doing the Lord's work and interacting with the MCs that otherwise would have missed out since Infold had removed him from their own lineup there. And his interactions are just so adorable. You can tell that both the cosplayer and the MCs are enjoying themselves to the fullest here, and I love that. And we can see here that there was also a shrine dedicated to Valko where the players left notes and gifts. The Lost Puppy poster is so funny. The sentiment of doing this is incredibly sweet, and the shrine is even bigger than you would initially think as well. So following Anime Expo weekend on around the 7th of July, Infold announced that they are cancelling their participation in Bilibili Worlds this year. Recently, Love and Deep Space has garnered widespread attention from all sectors of society, causing significant distress to all players and creating a negative impact. For this, we are deeply remorseful. We have no excuses and must only reflect deeply, confront our own issues, and proactively take responsibility, offering our sincerest apologies to everyone. We sincerely accept all criticism and corrections regarding the issues exposed and will not evade responsibility. We will use reverence for history, protection of national sentiment, and preservation of Chinese culture as our benchmarks to comprehensively conduct staff training and self-correction. As we are not yet fully prepared, after careful consideration, the Love and Deep Space production team has decided not to participate in Bilibili World 2026. We are truly sorry for disappointing the players who had been looking forward to this event. To compensate for the losses to the greatest extent possible, we will adhere to the principle of making full restitution and do our utmost to protect everyone's interests. After you cancel your trip to Bilibili World 2026, we will fully cover any losses incurred from ticket cancellations for flights, trains and hotels. Please refer to the official announcement on our website for specific compensation details. Thank you for your continued support and love. Well, at least they're covering expenses. It is understandable why they're pulling out. At this point, it's probably more of a safety concern than trying to dodge any kind of responsibility, because the antis have been harassing them non-stop since the day Valko was announced. And I wouldn't be surprised if things did turn violent if they did show up there. And then the 9th of July came. The game updated and Valko was nowhere to be seen, much to the disappointment of many players, with a lot of people still refusing to log in on that day. A lot of people had high hopes because the update seemed much bigger than it should have been without Valko, but he never showed up. And of course, with the hasty removal of Valko, the game suffered tremendously. So many antis were saying that the game will be fine without Valko. The game was in fact not fine without Valko. He should have been here. Oh, Giraffe Xavier will forever haunt my nightmares. Can't believe how broken the game is. But it's not all fun and games here. As funny as it is to think that Valko is getting his revenge on the game, some players had noticed that some content had been changed or removed entirely after this update.
Love and Deep Space's Valko situation is exactly what happens when fandom spaces take it too far. Because if you're surprised that reaching out to a local government agency results in said agency demanding the company start removing things they find problematic, You are part of the problem. It's not only just Valko being removed anymore. It's this entire game starting to remove content that's deemed problematic because they're already teetering on the edge of what's allowed and what's not allowed in the first place. Now that this agency thinks that things may be too problematic, Love and Deep Space can get shut down entirely because now this dev team that worked on this guy for years suddenly has to scrap years of work, voice actors, in real life events, everything gone because of a loud minority that couldn't give this company time to rectify or delay what could have honestly been a huge success for them.
And I couldn't have said it better myself. And of course, Infold have remained completely silent on all of this, issuing not a single statement on the situation. Absolute crickets. But at least some good has come out of all of this. Aside from the boycott and the loss of revenue for Infold, during this time, so many petitions have been signed and players have been donating to various different charities, and that is incredible. Just think of it this way. Whilst they are mass reporting, hating and being malicious, we have donated thousands to multiple charities worldwide, united the lads' global community more than we ever have before, supported each other, signed a petition which is almost at 250,000 signatures, and much more. Love will always outgrow the minority who use hate. Karma will come back to bite them. We are louder. We should be proud. Now let's focus on getting Valko back. 250,000 signatures is crazy. And here we have a few stats as of the 15th of July. We have over 242,000 signatures on iPetitions, and we have raised over 85,000 USD in trackable charities. Thank you to everyone who's worked so hard to get us here. So yeah, as we can see, 242,000 signatures, 86,000 plus comments in 15 days. And as for the charities specifically, 85,000 USD raised to 4 wildlife rescues, 8 wolf charities, and 5 women's shelters, with an estimated 45,000 USD to Guangxi Disaster Relief Fund. This is absolutely insane and such a tremendous achievement for the Love and Deep Space community. And wolves have even been named after Valko and Caleb, which is so adorable. See, this is what community is all about. This is what a community should be. And it's just really wonderful to see. It's just amazing how all of this good came from one character that never got to see the light of day. Valko has absolutely made waves. And since he has made such an impact, the Shanghai administration acknowledged that Valko is innocent and that global player base does count for something. Positive news pro Valko pack. Shanghai administration has issued a comment on Weibo on their old Valko posts clearing Valko's name of violations. State media has also posted positive sentiments around all donations and petitions pro Valko have been making. This basically means Valko's name is cleared of the offences that were being placed against him. Hence, Papergame/Infold can bring him back without it being relating to any communal unrest within society due to the manipulative lies and misconstrued versions that were relayed of his content. So they've highlighted this, where it says, whether Fang Yin will be reinstated should be determined by Paper Games based on content quality, market data, and long-term planning. However, the continued growth of overseas petitions has provided a noteworthy signal when a character can generate signatures, creative works, public welfare activities, and offline actions in multiple countries and regions. Re-examining the product validation of them is not merely a response to public opinion, but may also be a repricing of global user needs and existing content investment. Thanks to the continuous advocacy and charity events from our sisters overseas, domestic media has finally started to report objectively and positively on the events related to Valko, and has paid attention to the demands from overseas. But please note that this does not represent any decisions from Paper Games. We will still need to keep pushing forward. So we do have the whole article here. It is a lengthy read, but I think it's important. It has been put through Google Translate by this person, Karmalu here, but I'll try my best if there are any problems with the translation. Just bear with me. Overseas players continue to voice their support. How can Chinese games transform global feedback into content growth? As of July 15th, the main petition page on the overseas petition platform iPetitions demanding the reinstatement of Valko, a new romanceable character in the game Love and Deep Space, has garnered over 240,000 signatures and 80,000 comments. Meanwhile, on Change.org's game petition page, 3 main Valko-related petitions have received 96,372, 21,738, and 5,902 signatures respectively. This 2-week-long cross-platform participation indicates that overseas users' demands have not subsided quickly following the character's cancellation. Valko was the 6th romanceable male lead revealed for Love and Deep Space on June 22nd, originally scheduled for release with the 9th of July update. The development team subsequently announced the cancellation of his release and subsequent development on June 30th. During the Los Angeles Anime Expo, players created Valko-themed merchandise, set up support areas, and cosplayed as the character. Related wildlife conservation organizations have also previously disclosed that the gaming community raised more than $9,000 for wolf conservation projects in the name of this character. Overseas demand continues to emerge. Unlike the initial surge of comments and emotional expressions amidst the game's controversies, overseas players' actions have now extended beyond the originally scheduled launch date. On the iPetitions main petition page, some users stated that they were motivated to download, return to, or continue following the game because of Valko, while others proposed promises such as delays or revised releases. These statements represent individual opinions and cannot be directly generalized to all overseas players, but they provide concrete clues for future user research. Love and Deep Space is not a product primarily reliant on a single market. AppMagic estimates show that in its first 2 years, it generated approximately $933.7 million in player spending on the App Store and Google Play, with about 60% coming from the Chinese market, 13% from the US, and 9% from Japan. Over 40% of the game's spending came from regions outside of China. The game has topped the App Store charts in over 40 countries and regions, and its global downloads have exceeded 80 million. These figures indicate that the overseas market is no longer just an additional distribution channel for domestic content, but a crucial component of Love and Deep Space's user base, revenue structure, and brand influence. For products that operate long-term, the acceptance of characters by players in different regions will also affect subsequent content scheduling, localization investment, marketing activities, and user retention. A romanceable character is not merely a single illustration or single gacha pull, but rather a fundamental unit for continuously generating content. Characters typically carry independent storylines, cards, interactions, battle mechanics, voice acting, localized text, and subsequent events. In Otome games, changes in the number and types of characters can also reach previously underserved demographics, providing new content combinations for existing users and creating reasons for hesitant or churned users to re-enter the product. Currently, there is no publicly available data to prove how many new downloads or revenue Valko will inevitably generate after his release, and the number of signatures cannot be directly converted into paid subscriptions. However, overseas petitions, offline events, and fan art at least indicate that a group of potential users with clear content preferences has already formed around this character. For a company with a mature global distribution system, this user sample deserves further measurement, rather than being completely excluded from research after the cancellation decision is made. From responding to controversies to managing a global user base, overseas products require a more refined decision-making mechanism. When Chinese games enter the global market, companies don't face a completely unified set of user opinions. Players in different regions may have significantly different understandings of character design, narrative boundaries, cultural symbols, and product structure. When intense controversies arise domestically, companies need to respond promptly. When sustained demand emerges overseas, it needs to be identified as part of the global product management. This doesn't mean companies should simply adopt completely opposite content standards for different markets. Basic character settings, content quality, and value boundaries still need to remain consistent. However, in specific product arrangements, companies have more tools than simply launch immediately or permanently cancel. including delaying versions, modifying text, adding character backstory, conducting target testing, and reassessing users' needs. For Chinese content companies, building global brands overseas competition ultimately relies on the ability to continuously produce high-quality content, understand different users, and translate market feedback into products. While minimizing controversies is crucial, if risk management simultaneously shuts down content directions with potential demand, companies may lose not only a character, but a group of existing potential users. Whether Valko will be reinstated should be determined by Paper Games based on content quality, market data, and long-term planning. However, the continued growth of overseas petitions provides a significant signal. When a character generates signatures, creative works, charitable activities, and offline actions in multiple countries and regions, re-examining and product validation of that character is not merely a response to public opinion, but may also represent a repricing of global user demand and existing content investment. For leading products like Love and Deep Space, which already possess a global user base, transforming this feedback into richer content offerings and more refined overseas operational capabilities may be more valuable than allowing related demands to remain outside the game indefinitely. So isn't all of that just so good to hear? So it sounds like ultimately now the decision is up to Infold. And I wish I could say that we were on our way to the good ending with Valko being reinstated into the game, but we are far from being out of hot water. Because Valko haters are turning up the ante, no pun intended, and are now harassing cosplayers, toy companies, and allegedly the cyber police themselves. When Infold decided to cancel Valko, they gave a green card to these people to harass everyone, other players, artists, cosplayers, the devs. I'm shaking with rage right now. These harassers are utterly deranged. Over the past few days, they've filed malicious mass reports targeting the post about Love and Deep Space reposted by the National Development and Reform Commission. Today, they've sunk even lower. They banded together to report and get Tarin's Xiaohongshu account banned, all solely because he posted Valko cosplay content on there. How twisted and vicious do you have to be to act with such ruthless, zero-tolerance malice? They've torn apart the game community, poisoned the entire online space, and keep abusing platform reporting functions to launch relentless cyberbullying against ordinary fans. Their appalling acts never stop, yet no disciplinary action has been taken against them. Why are they allowed to keep running amok unpunished? And here we have a post about how they are harassing a German toy company for making a wolf doll similar to Valko. Because Nikki produced a toy similar to the wolf doll in Valko card art, now the group of lunatics has started sending complaint letters to Nikki's German headquarters again. If possible, please express our goodwill to Nikki Company more, before the voices of that group of lunatics reach them. So we can see here that this is the plush in question, and allegedly it was discontinued in 2024, but after Valko's card released, a lot of people seem to think that it looked similar to his card, and started to buy it up and demand, well, not demand, request that it be produced again. And then the aunties heard about it, and now they are sending complaints. And then we have a response here to the post about the wolf plush. Once again, I want to say to Infold that bringing Valko back to the game is about far more than a single character. Respecting the hard work of everyone who helped create him, preserving the artistic integrity of the game, and standing by the vision that was originally presented to the players now. At this point, the way the situation is handled also sends a message about how harassment and intimidation are treated. I am truly unsettled by the amount of false censorship and harassment done both by players directed at anything that does not align with what certain said players want or approve of, silencing differing opinions, targeting people with hate, and responding to disagreement with hostility and intimidation is not normal behaviour. It is genuinely alarming to watch this continue and escalate. I sincerely hope both the company and the relevant authorities make it clear that harassment, threats, and intimidation are unacceptable and carry consequences. I repeat myself, but as for Infold, I believe the only constructive path forward is to bring Valko back, restore the original content, and respect the millions of domestic and global players who have advocated for him peacefully and respectfully. In my personal opinion, failing to do so risks sending the message that harassment and coordinated hostility are effective tools for influencing creative decisions or simply getting one's way. And this is exactly my sentiment as well. Like they worded it so perfectly for me that I don't need to repeat it. They are definitely enabling this behavior. And now we can see that because they enabled it, they are starting to use it on other things. They're using it for companies outside of China that don't actually have anything to do with Love and Deep Space. They're targeting cosplayers who are doing this kind of thing for a hobby because it's fun. And it's getting way, way, way out of hand. And I sincerely hope that these deranged lunatics can be held accountable for their actions, because not only is this behavior toxic and destructive and just sickening, it's also just really embarrassing for them and the way it reflects on multiple different communities. I genuinely can't believe that there are people out there like this, and I'm sure the general sentiment is that Infold have definitely enabled this behavior in the first place by showing them that they answer to violence, and now they're just using this tactic on whatever else they can get their hands on. So clearly the war is not over. We still have a lot to do in Valko's name, but we're definitely making an impact. Infold pretty much have the go-ahead to put Valko back in the game if they wish, but we can't sit on our laurels now. If we really want to see change, then we need to keep doing what we're doing. So keep avoiding logging into the game, keep signing petitions, making art, donating, using the hashtags as well, which, by the way, I heard that hashtag bring Valko back is now being twisted by the antis to mean bring him back to the woods where he belongs or something like that. But I'd still use it anyway just to drown out their voices. Along with all of these hashtags here, these are the new hashtags that a lot of people are going by. So any of these are perfectly acceptable. We shouldn't lose motivation or hope. We are slowly but surely moving in the right direction, and hopefully an end can be put to all of this very soon. With all of that being said, thank you so much for watching until the end. I appreciate it very much. If you would like to support your Duchess, then please consider leaving a like, a comment, or subscribing for more Otome, dating sim, and visual novel-based content. Take care of yourself, darling human, and I will hopefully see you again soon.